Unnecessary fights could start. You could end up picking fights which is not even required or necessary at times. You might pick in arguments which are not needed. Long distance travels, even related to business or leisure, will give you the right outcome. So avoid your weekend getaways, stay at home. Your food habits need a definitive watch because you have to consume foods that improve the quality of blood. Some of you might find the promotional opportunities as well come in your way from your job front. So all in all, from that perspective, it definitely looks good. Hi guys, welcome back to Devastrology. Now I don't usually do the transit videos very frequently, but I myself faced an incident this Sunday and it was 20th of October. And as you guys know, it was the transit of Mars and it affected me. And I kept on thinking that why is it? Because I had completely forgotten about the date. When I reflected back this morning, I could relate that being a Mars ascendant, why that particular incident happened with me. And I realized that I had got to practice some caution. And then I thought that maybe it was not a bad idea for us to record and share some insights with you guys as well. Of course, I will be talking some bit during my monthly transit videos as well. But it is important, I thought, to share my perspective about what this Mars transit in the sign of Cancer, which has already started from October 20th. I did touch upon this in the October monthly reading, but this is going to be a 3-month transit, post which you will find that Mars will be going back into the sign of Gemini. It will be retrograde, and then it will come back to the sign of Cancer somewhere in April before it moves into the sign of Leo. So I thought it is important for us to just have a quick chat, discuss, and see what's happening in this transit. So first and foremost, we need to understand the behavior of this Mars and its larger impact on all of us. Mars gets debilitated in the sign of Cancer. And why does it get debilitated here? See, Cancer is a very soft sign. The owner, though Mars has a decent relationship with Moon, is Moon itself. And it is all about emotions. It is about softness. It is where energy is not really excited because you find calm here, serenity here in this sign. And Mars is burst with energy. It is full of energy and it wants to bring in action. And it finds itself uncomfortable. And that is the reason it gets exalted in the sign of Capricorn, which is all about hard work and effort and energy. So when Mars is coming into this sign, all this aggression, all this energy, when it comes in here in this sign, it either loses that energy or it brings in commotion in this place. And that is where you will realize that why people say that this is a phase where there could be wars, there could be unnecessary tension, there could be commotion in the mind, there could be confusion that could also come into place. And why? Because in this specific scenario, this Mars is getting in trine with the Rahu, which is sitting in the sign of Pisces. And Mars will be getting an aspect from this Pisces, the Rahu. At the same time, this Mars could become fearful as well. It might lose its commanding nature. It might lose its authority and becomes very tricky situation for Mars to be in this place. Unnecessary fights could start. You could end up picking fights which is not even required or necessary at times. You might pick in arguments which are not needed. You might create or get into situations that are not needed. And in such circumstances, it would result into an outcome where you do not find that peace. Somewhere or the other, there is a sense of dissatisfaction that immerses in our minds. And we have to practice this caution, this practical caution during the course of this 3-month transit. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to deep dive into each zodiac sign, understand the rulership of Mars for your sign, see that what happens in the specific houses for you, and then what are the positives that you can also anticipate. So without further ado, we will get started. The first one is that going to be of Aries. Now, Aries, for you, Mars is your lung lord. It is also having the ownership of your 8th house. And it is coming into debilitation in your fourth house, from which it will be giving an exalted aspect to your 10th house. Guys, first and foremost, you have to practice certain caution. You could anticipate risks or losses in this transit with respect to your assets, and mental peace for you will be troubled. You have to make sure that whilst you're doing any kind of negotiations with respect to any kind of property engagements, acquiring any kind of new property, any kind of new assets, please be double sure, or if possible, delay that purchase during this period. I know festive season is coming, New Year will be around the corner, and many of you could be interested in making some big movements, but you, Aries, have to practice that caution. Whilst driving, make sure you are getting your car serviced, your vehicle serviced. You could find challenges coming in with respect to your electrical gadgets as well. Those kind of problems are very much probable that could come into your play. At the same time, you could also see that there could be certain blood related issues or headaches or other problems that might come with respect to your mother. Her mental peace could also be troubled, or she might feel agitated, lost, upset on very trivial matters. So please be patient with your mothers. Make sure that you are providing them ample support during this period of time, because they will definitely need that both physically and mentally. Now, all is not gloom and doom, guys, because this same debilitated Cancer Mars will be giving an exalted aspect to your 10th house. And to the 10th house means to your workplace, to your karma. So you will be putting in right efforts and you will be shining as well. See, 10th house is not just your karma, but it is also your social status. It is the social status of your father as well. It is second to the ninth. So it becomes absolutely critical for you to understand that during the same period, whilst you could, from your asset and mental peace, could find these challenges coming your way, but you will have an exalted aspect which is going to empower you to perform well at your workplace. Be it you are running your own business, self-employed, or even if you're in a job, you are going to do well from all those quarters perspective, and you should not let any of those opportunities slip out of your hand. Some of you might even experience promotion possibilities. Yes, even with this debilitated Jupiter because of that exalted aspect. However, I would want you to be careful when it comes to anything with respect to your 7th and 11th house. Why? Because this debilitated Jupiter Mars is also giving an aspect to the 7th house as well as 11th house. What does it mean? Please practice caution in terms of your relationships, in terms of your public affairs, any kind of partnerships that you are pursuing. Forging new partnerships at this point in time may not be a good idea. You might want to just delay and push that for the interim. And at the same time, any kind of wish fulfillment gains that you're seeking, they might get delayed, and there might be some more wait that you might have to do, at least in the interim. This doesn't mean that your efforts are going to go in vain. It's just that you will be getting the outcomes after a certain period of time. Now, of course, you've got to also check that what is the placement of Mars in your natal chart as well. Please do have a reference to that and the kind of dasha and antardasha you're going through. But broadly, from a transit perspective, you can anticipate roughly 20 to 30% impact in your life coming through this. If you've liked the effort, guys, please smash on that like button and share and subscribe to my channel. All right. Now we will move on to the second sign, which is Taurus. Taurus, you guys are having this transit in your third house where Mars is getting debilitated in the sign of Cancer. Now, for you, it is the ruler of your 7th house and your 12th house. So, your lord of partnerships and your lord of expenses is coming into your third house in debilitation. One thing is for sure, any kind of foreign related travel, foreign related connections, or any kind of visa issues, immigration issues that you've been dealing with or trying to work them out, they could face some sort of delay. But it is not all negative, because the same Mars will be giving an exalted aspect to the 9th house for you guys, which means long distance travels will definitely be on the charts, even though you might find certain hurdles coming to your side in the initial bit. Remember, your expenses or your investments at this point in time will not give you the right outcomes. You will be putting in a lot of effort. And if you are not, I would not be surprised if you creep in with some laziness during this period as well. You might want to wash that out and avoid it. Some kind of challenges are anticipated to your siblings or to your neighbors as well. Please be very careful when it comes to practicing your hobbies or playing certain sports and games. because injuries and risk related to those games and sports could be very much viable for you guys, Taurus. So you got to practice some caution in that. From a relationship perspective as well, you have to put in more effort and watch out in your communication, because your choice of words could be tricky at this point in time, and that could hamper your relationship with your spouse as well. That is one place you are going to find enormous challenge coming during this transit. At the same time, you have to understand the same Mars is giving an exalted aspect to your ninth house. Your relationship with your father, your mentor, gurus, bosses, your superiors, that's definitely going to improve. You are going to see some definitive long distance travel coming your way. Now, when I say long distance travel, it could be an international journey or journey far away from your current place of residence. So, if you are planning anything of that sort, that is going to be in good direction. In fact, if you plan to take up any new learning, any new course and education of some sort, that is also going to be supporting to you. Please be watchful if you are in a job. If you are in a job, you are getting an aspect to your sixth house as well as your 10th house, and it's the debilitated Mars which is giving an aspect. Do not pick up unnecessary competition. You could face backlash. It could backfire on you and it might not exactly pan out. So it is important for you to be smart in terms of your negotiation. Your formal communication is getting challenged, guys. So remember that, because that means any kind of email communication you're doing, any kind of online communication that you're doing, be very careful as to what is the kind of choice of words you are picking and how you are expressing yourself, and if you are expressing yourself in the right tone or not, because that could definitely hamper both your marketplace reputation as well as your status in job. People who are preparing for any kind of competition and stuff, you could have a tough period, but if it is related to any higher learning, I see that sooner or later you will be able to strike success during this period. Please be watchful towards your health, especially if you're playing any sports. Consume the right amount of red food, example apples, pomegranates and stuff. Consume good amount of drinks if you're going and playing any kind of sports, very important. Short distance travels might not be very fruitful for you, but long distance travels, even related to business or leisure, will give you the right outcome. So avoid your weekend getaways, stay at home, do not risk your way till getting into unnecessary kind of a situation, and you should be good. There's nothing to panic, guys, but it is an important transit. Why? Because this Rahu, which is sitting in the sign of Pisces, is going to be aspecting this Mars and its debilitation. So it gets tricky, and that is the very reason I'm making an effort to prepare a video in this case, which usually I avoid in terms of making transits. So I hope that gives you clarity. If you've liked this, guys, please smash on that like button and subscribe to Devastrology. Now we will move on to the third sign, which is Gemini. Gemini, for you guys, what is happening is that it is your sixth and 11th lord. Your sixth and 11th lord, which is coming into debilitation in the second house for you. So, especially Geminis, I've been telling that Rahu has been sitting in the sign of Pisces for you, and it has been sitting in the 10th house for you. And it has been, it's been one of the best periods with Rahu being in 10th from a career, karma gains perspective for you. However, this period when Mars is coming into debilitation in the second house, and yes, it is sitting in trine, and it's going to be getting an aspect from Rahu as well, this period can get slight bit tricky for you. Remember, the sixth lord means anything related to your daily routine, your job, any kind of loans or litigations or any kind of legal affairs. You should not get entangled into, or maybe any kind of challenges that you get into, you might bring in your entire family in trouble. That could be a very precarious situation. Even from your wish fulfillment perspective, any goals that you had been planning in mind, they could find certain delays during this period. So I would want you to be watchful from that angle as well. However, having said that, that doesn't mean that you drop in all your efforts, because that is going to be very critical. Things will change over time and you are going to evolve. The same Mars is going to move in retrograde, and it is going to come back to your Lagna itself later in 2025. Now, important thing for you to note is that this Mars, though it is coming in debilitation, yes, your savings are going to decrease. Your food habits need a definitive watch, because you have to consume foods that improve the quality of blood. Some of you could have situations in terms of hemoglobin count or anemia coming into play. Please be watchful from all those regards. That is very important for you to take care of. The same Mars will be giving an exalted aspect to your 8th house. I definitely see your relationship with your spouse improving to the next level. You will be coming closer to them. They will be seeing you. So if you are a married person, to your spouse's family, there is a definitive growth that is coming their way, and they could find accumulation of wealth, right? Opportunities coming in their way and expansion coming into their side. You have to also keep in mind that your energy will go in terms of serving them or collaborating with them and supporting them in whatever needs they have. So all in all, that is not a positive situation, sorry, not a negative situation to be in. The same Mars is also going to be giving an aspect to your fifth and ninth. Now, the reason we call that out is that it is going to give an aspect, fourth aspect, and the eighth aspect to these two houses. So, from a long distance travel as well as from any kind of new investments perspective, I would want you to avoid that. I don't think this is a great period for you to find the right fruitful results, especially if you're trying to travel for business or work related to long distances. Any kind of short distances within the vicinity in your nearby city and stuff, that should be okay, and it should deliver you the right outcome as well. But please be watchful with respect to your investments. You would need to be careful during this period because a debilitated Mars is giving an aspect to that. It is under the affliction of Rahu, and your decision making with respect to that could go haywire. We will have to elaborate and see in details as to what happens over the monthly readings, as to how other planets are impacting you. But yes, from a Mars perspective, this is where you would want to be careful. You might want to take care of the health of your children as well, because some of you who are parents watching this video, you would realize that your children would require some additional oversight. Please avoid expressing yourself negatively to them in family. Your choice of words whilst talking informally to your friends or within your family has to be very critical. You could have tendencies of losing temper or having short temper within your family as well, and that could create a negative environment. But I think if you take due care of that, given that it is the Lord of your 6th and 11th, it at the end of the day is responsible for your wish fulfillment as well. So again, be watchful as to how you're conducting yourself during this period. Do not let any external things overtake your personal actions. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, please smash on that like button and subscribe to Devastrology, guys. Now we will talk about the Cancer sign. Now for Cancerians, as it is the Lord of your 5th and 10th, it is a very important Yoga planet for you guys. And it is coming and sitting in your Ascendant in your Lagna itself. So your 10th Lord coming into your Ascendant and getting debilitated is not one of the best things that could happen. And same is the case when the 5th Lord is doing that. Now, what definitely you would see is that there could be a loss of creativity. Whatever you've been imagining and thinking and planning that should work out for you might not be giving you the right outcomes as well. The second thing is that any kind of investment strategies at this point in time should definitely be avoided. You should not be taking any major investment calls, any major purchase calls, especially in terms of stock trading, any kind of commodities trading and stuff. From a workplace perspective as well, many of you would realize that your energy might see a dip. You could find a sense of lethargy creeping in you, or maybe the efforts that you are putting in are not resulting into the outcome that you've been imagining. So try and make sure that you are doing the right remedies. Follow a regimen, follow a schedule, do Hanuman Chalisa. It's an excellent remedy for you guys, Cancerians, to practice through the course of this period. Now, Mars coming into Lagna as well could mean that there could be a certain dip in virality, or your courageousness could dip down. And what you will find is that either this is because that you are having some sort of demotivation creep in, or it could be because there is just simple lack of energy due to health matters. So consuming the food, as I said a few seconds before, is very important. But not everything is gloom and doom, because the same Mars is going to be giving an exalted aspect to your 7th house. That means that if you are a married person, or if you are any kind of business partnerships, then you are going to see a growth, positive uptick in that direction. Yes, if you are unmarried and looking to get married, I would not still recommend to go ahead, because it might not be the best period for you to explore marriage at this point in time. Having said that, any kind of business associations or new tie-ups will be extremely rewarding to you during this period. They are going to give you the right outcome. I would want you to follow any kind of traditional approach and not be too creative in terms of doing these partnerships, because then that could tinker with what you're trying to achieve. However, the same Mars is going to be giving an aspect to your 4th and the 8th house as well. Please be watchful with your relationships with your in-laws. Do not get into any kind of speculative activities, as I was saying, not only from stock trading perspective, but avoid gambling, lottery, or anything of that sort, which might not be favorable period for you. From a fourth aspect perspective, it can be a little bit tricky with respect to your assets. Please be watchful when it comes to driving, consuming right sort of food, health of your mother as well. That can be of paramount importance, both mental as well as physical health. So you might want to help her in whatever best ways you can in terms of the consumption of the right food and things like that. So it is important for you to take care from that perspective. Please remember, guys, that I would suggest not taking any grand calls when it comes to purchase, sale of property or new assets during this period. I know many of us do take these calls at this time of the year in the last quarter. New deals do come up when you're talking about year-end scenarios. But you might want to just see your natal chart as well and see that how this Mars is behaving in there, and if you're running the right Dasha and Antardasha, so that you're not ending up cracking a bad deal. I anticipate this is going to be a rough phase for a lot of automobile companies in the coming few months. But I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, then please smash on that like button and subscribe to Devastrology. Now, Leos, for you guys, Mars is the lord of your fourth house and your ninth house. And this lord is coming in and sitting in the sign of debilitation in your 12th house itself. So, fourth house lord coming into 12th or ninth lord coming into 12th means that any kind of foreign travel connection could be a little bit tricky. I think some of you who are already settled abroad and living far away from your hometown, homeland, you will realize that some or the other problems with respect to your house will definitely come into play, Leos. You could anticipate some sort of renovation that might be required. It could result into losses, some kind of expenditure which is required with respect to any kind of electrical upgrade or refurbishing in some way or the other. So expenses could come in that shape or form. It could also be in the shape or form of your cars, vehicles that you are having with you. Ideally, not one of the best periods for you to go ahead and purchase a new car or new house at this point in time, if it is possible. Kindly avoid and push that through the course of this period. Now, this Mars is also the lord of your ninth. Some of your international travel might not be bearing you the right outcome and results as you would anticipate. So it could be futile for you to spend your time and energy doing that. And again, I would want you to be careful from that perspective. This may not also be one of the best period for you with respect to your bosses, or you might not find the right support from your father or the leadership of the superiors or mentors that you look up to in your life. So you will have to check that you are conducting yourself in the right way, and for that you will have to maintain your mental balance and peace. It's your fourth lord and ninth lord that is getting into from that perspective. However, what I see is that natural remedy which will automatically happen for you is, with this Mars sitting in your 12th house, it is going to be aspecting your 6th house as well, which is your daily regimen, your job. Some of you who are trying to take loans and stuff, please be watchful. Cut your coat according to your cloth. Do not expand too much, but I think you will be successful in procuring anything that you seek from that perspective too. You are going to definitely see a possibility of some sort of job growth, expansion, new job opportunities coming your way. Some of you might find the promotion opportunities as well coming your way from your job front. So all in all, from that perspective, it definitely looks good. Now, this same Mars is going to be aspecting your third house and your seventh house as well. Please make sure that you remain focused, continue to work hard towards your job, because a lot of things will happen automatically for you. Your enemies will not be able to stand foot against yourself, but this doesn't mean that you drop your guard, you drop the ball and you don't work hard enough. Please continue to put your efforts, because that is going to be very important. I see many of you finding yourself to the brink of laziness during this period. The same Mars is giving an aspect to your seventh house as well. Be watchful with your relationship, with your external partners, any kind of market interface that you're doing. Choice of words has to be very important. International collaboration at this time might not be the most suitable thing that might happen for you, but yet you will find results of the same at some point in time in future. Do not expect immediate results coming in your way as long as you are remaining with vigor on a regular basis. Discipline is going to be the key. That is where you have your site of exaltation from Mars. And that is going to be your savior for the next few months to follow. So remember that. That's an important thing. Last but not the least, I want to call out that from your siblings' relationships perspective or their health perspective, they could face certain problems in there. Please do watch your relationship with your siblings and your neighbors as well. Do take precaution while playing any sports or games. There is a possibility of getting some sort of an injury as you expose yourself to some kind of physical labor, especially if it's your hobby, trekking, running, or playing any kind of physical sports, so to speak. From a relationship perspective with your spouse, I don't see too much of a negative, but yes, there is a potential delays that is happening for the people who want to get married. There could be challenges with respect to that. I think some of you might find breakups or relationships getting frozen, I'd say, for a brief period of time. All in all, I hope if you've liked this video, then please smash on that like button and subscribe to Devastrology, guys. Now, as for Virgos, your Mars is the lord of your third and your eighth house, and it is coming and getting debilitated in your 11th house. It is coming and getting into debilitation in your sign of wish fulfillment, in your house of wish fulfillment and gains. Though most of the planets tend to do well here, even if they are getting into debilitation. But yes, what I anticipate for you guys is that your target closures, your objectives and goals that you've set forth for yourself, they might find certain delays. They might not literally immediately happen for you. Now, it's the lord of your third and eighth. It's the lord of your hard work, the efforts and energy that you're going to be putting in against achieving your targets and objectives. You will realize that at some point in time, there could be a sense of laziness, tiredness, giving up. That sort of attitude could creep in. Please fight that behavior. Please let go of that kind of a situation. Whilst it is getting in debilitation in your 11th, it is giving an exalted aspect to your 5th house as well, which means from your investment strategy perspective, now the results might not come in immediately. Means any kind of stock market trading, option trading, futures and swaps, that might not be the right approach for you at this point in time. However, if you are anticipating some long-term value growth investments, absolutely amazing time for you to invest your time and energy to get the right outcomes in that sphere. I think you're going to do very well from a long-term investment perspective during this phase. Your calls are going to be right. So please trust your instinct with that perspective. I also see many of you who are preparing for any kind of competition, going for next level of education and stuff. Success should come your way. You will be able to attain higher degrees during this point of time, and you could get calls from institutions and colleges to pursue next level of courses. In fact, this Mars is going to be giving an aspect to your 2nd and 6th house as well. Competition is going to be tricky. It is going to be challenging, but you should be able to get the right outcome. Yes, you could see some of your savings deplete. Somewhere or the other, you will have to make sure that you focus on your daily regimen, your hard work, your job in general, in totality, because right now what you would feel is that you're putting in a lot of efforts. Nothing is panning out. Why the hell am I wasting my time in here? Should I explore something else? Should I be looking out for a new opportunity and things like that? Please do not jump the gun, guys. Let this period shimmer down. Things are going to get better and they're going to improve for you. It's not going to be all bad. It's just that that mental discipline is also very much needed. Keep a check on your expenses, and you do not deplete your savings very quickly, because Mars here will give you a tendency of being a spendthrift, things that are not necessary, that are not needed. In fact, some of those occasions, expenses might come your way where it is not even required. It could be any kind of problems with respect to some tools not working at home, any kind of electrical equipment or challenges, something related to your house, something related to your physical assets at home that gave you trouble, and you might have to spend your time, effort, and energy to fix that. And yes, that is very much possible, but any kind of major loss hopefully will not happen as long as you remain focused over the long term. Remember, it's giving the exalted aspect. Your 5th is the long-term view that you have to think of, long-term vision that you need to have. Last but not the least, what I would want you to do is, if possible, do or any sort of remedy, Mars remedies that you believe in and you are comfortable following with. Mars demands energy, so please remain focused towards your food and quality of food that you consume, especially red items that you can intake. Be watchful on your sugar intake, but yes, any kind of red items, sugar is a good remedy when it comes to Mars. Cook sometime inside your kitchen, because there could be unexpected losses maybe in your kitchen appliances itself, or you might find that you're boiling the milk and it is spilling out. You might be burning some dishes and stuff. So just be careful on that front and invest some time in the kitchen. Put in your energy there. It might not be a bad idea. In fact, it's a decent remedy for you to explore. All right. And if you've enjoyed this, guys, please smash on that like button and subscribe to Devastrology. Now for my Libra ascendants. you have your Mars as the lord of your second and your seventh house, and your ruler of second and seventh is coming and sitting into your 10th house in the sign of debilitation. So, whilst it is a Dhan Yoga when the second lord is, or the seventh lord is coming and sitting in the 10th, but it comes into debilitation, and that becomes very tricky for you guys, Libras. Because now what's going to happen is that somewhere the outcomes that you anticipate at a certain level do not pan out for you in that direction. There could be a stunted growth or opportunity coming in your way, especially people who are running their own business, who are enterprising by nature, and you've been trying to force new relationships, you've been putting in a lot of efforts. Things might not exactly pan out as you desire, and you might just struggle a bit in terms of getting that social acceptance, that respect, that outcome that you expect from your business partners or your colleagues or even your life partner for that matter, for your spouse as well. Now, a lot of time and energy might go into putting in things in place for your family, for your home, sorting out food habits and stuff, or even finances. I think this is where you would want to be a little bit, tad bit careful, because some losses are expected, or some sort of depletion of wealth could happen. Maybe your food habits in itself could see a detrimental decline happen. But nothing is all negative and gloom and doom, because remember, if one planet is debilitated, it's giving an exalted aspect as well, and it's giving an exalted aspect in your case to your fourth house. So, whilst this loss in assets could happen in terms of your bank balance, you might as well use that decline in terms of pursuing and acquiring a new asset or a new property. I would not be surprised if many of you take a call in terms of having a new possession. Maybe some of you might move into a new place, new home, new car, whatever that may be, new gadget for that matter. But just make sure that you do not go beyond your means. Cut your coat according to your cloth, is what I would say. So, see what is fitting the bill for you from that angle. But yes, I think overall from your mother's, this can be a weird combination, because Mars is getting debilitated in Cancer, but it's giving an exalted aspect to your fourth house. So there will be ups and downs. She could be very happy at one time and she could be low on the other. So just balance it out. Just make sure you're giving her due time, coverage, support as it is required. Now, this Mars is also going to be giving an aspect to the first and the fifth house. So it is going to be aspecting your Lagna, and you have to make sure that you keep your anger, your temper in check. You could have certain temperamental issues with you. You could have a wave of emotions coming in for you as well, where you could find yourself confused and panic stricken, loss of virality, but at the same time, you might be ecstatic on other times. Remember, this Mars is in trine with Rahu, which is sitting in Pisces. You've got to be very careful as to how you are representing yourself to the world. From a fifth house perspective, I would just want you to keep a watch on your children. If you're pursuing education, you have to put in more efforts to get the right outcomes from your studies perspective. But do not be too harsh. Be kind to your kids. Try and spend some time that is definitely needed. With respect to stock market trading and investments, please be watchful. I've already talked about how your wealth is going to get impacted. Any kind of rash decision making in terms of your investment might not at all be a good decision. As long as you are acquiring a physical property, a physical asset, that is great. But anything in digital IP form may not be the right conducive period for you guys for now. Just try and push that for some time if possible, and wait for 2025 to come, and hopefully then things might pan out in a much better way. I hope, guys, this makes sense and you like the video. If you have, then please smash on that like button and subscribe to the Aries. Now we will talk about Scorpios. Scorpios, for you, this is your Lagna lord, which is coming into debilitation. This is the lord of your first and your sixth house. So I think it is very important that you have to keep a caution in terms of your own emotions, your mental and physical being as well. You could feel a wave of emotions coming in, because this Mars sitting in Cancer is going to impact that and is going to individually, physically impact you. Some of you might already see that headaches could start, or you can get into some sort of an argumentative situation, not so great situation from a job perspective. And as I said, being a Scorpio, I am usually very calm and I avoid getting into arguments. But suddenly I got into an argumentative situation on Sunday. That is the same day this transit happened. I was like, this is not me. And that's where I decided to make this video. So guys, you've got to keep this in mind. Please keep your emotions in check. Know what you have to speak and when you have to speak. That is going to be very important, because this Mars is also giving an exalted aspect to your third house from a formal communication perspective. But some sort of a dip, maybe some sense of lethargy, lack of energy, or lack of success. And I really hate speaking this out, but could come from your job and your perspective. So you will have to put in some additional efforts from that area as well. From a health perspective as well, guys, please keep a watch. See that anything related to your bones and blood is taken proper care of. Consume good quality of food because both your Lagna and your sixth are getting impacted. So health is definitely of primary importance. You hitting the gym, working out, taking the right measures from that angle is very important for you guys. Now, debilitation is happening in your ninth house. Please be watchful in terms of your conduct with your father, with your superiors, your bosses, and if possible, avoid long-term, long-distance journeys because long-distance journeys might not be able to bear the fruit, the right outcome that you're seeking at this point in time, and all these aspects have to be curtailed. One remedy that I would call out is if you face challenges with respect to your bosses or with respect to your father, just share some sweets with them. Do Hanuman Chalisa, very important remedy, and you must practice that during this period. But not everything is negative, guys, because the same debilitated Mars is giving an exalted aspect to your third house. So there will be a lot of hard work. You will be busy and occupied. You will be putting in an extra effort into anything and everything that you chase for. And that is going to be the best thing that's going to happen for you in this period. So you are going to push things, push the corners as much as possible. Your communication from a professional standpoint, from a mass communication perspective, from a formal interaction perspective, is going to increase top notch or to the next level, so to speak. Your interest in sports, picking up any kind of healthy habits, gymming, trekking, walking, running, etc., is going to be very friendly, and you are going to pick some of those. This could also be a time in terms of your siblings seeing some sort of growth or peak at their side, or you improving on your relationship with your neighbors as well in terms of increasing your interaction, socializing with them, and things like that. Last but not the least, I would also want you to emphasize that any kind of short distance travels, any kind of weekend getaways, or any kind of nearby travel from a work business relationship perspective as well is going to give you enormously good results. So do not shy away from doing that because that is going to be very important for you. Now, this Mars is also going to give an aspect to your 12th house as well as your 4th house. So I think somewhere or the other, the relationship with respect to any kind of immigration related matters, any kind of foreign investment related matters, I think you have to just practice caution and do not rush into any of that decision making. There could be delays when it comes to any kind of international selling, but again, localized interaction or localized travel is going to be fruitful for you. You might have this interest in traveling into some kind of spiritual places and worship your beloved deities, and that is definitely on the cards during these 3 months. And again, from a fourth house perspective, I think I would want you to take some sort of caution. Now, there is no absolute risk as such, but when it comes to doing any kind of land related deals, any kind of vehicle purchase and stuff, be watchful on that front. I do not see any negative situation from an accidental situation because, see, Mars is giving an eighth aspect to the fourth, so it's a protective one. Even though it is debilitated, it is your loving lord. It's not going to do any damage per se in your case. So I'm not having any conclusive thought process on that perspective. But yes, you could have a swing in your emotions. Please be watchful towards the health of your mother as well, both her emotional, mental, and physical health being. That is going to be very important. She could also find herself agitated and frustrated at certain times. And remember, Rahu is giving an aspect from your fifth house, from the sign of Pisces to this debilitated Mars. So it's important that you practice the right caution during decision making and are not rushed into any kind of approach. Okay. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, guys. If you have, then please smash on that like button and subscribe to Devastrology, guys. Now, I will move on to the Sagittarius sign. Sagittarius, guys, for you, Mars is the lord of your 12th and your 5th house, and it is coming into your 8th house. This is a very interesting move because your 5th lord is coming into 8th, and that can be both tricky and rewarding. I would say this can be tricky from the perspective of, because it is coming into the sign of debilitation, any kind of stock related investments, speculative measures might not give you the right outcome. But if you avoid them, the same Mars is giving an exalted aspect to your second house, which means that you could actually gain in terms of your family support, in terms of your wealth, in terms of the quality of food you enjoy, and overall familial environment, so to speak. Remember, it is also the lord of your 12th coming into it. So it's a Viparit Rajoga, which is getting activated for Sagittarius. Spirituality will definitely have some sort of tone in your life during these 3 months. You will see an uptick from that angle. but it could be in hiding. It could be somewhere where you might not find a spiritual satisfaction coming in your way as well. It's a mixed bag and it's a very tricky transit for you guys, Sagittarius. Having said that, I would urge you not to do any kind of speculative activities. Even if you are into stock investment, there is a very strong possibility that known planned investments could also result into negative outcomes for you during this period. At one end, I'm saying that could happen, but on the other side, I'm saying there is a possibility of increase of wealth and stuff. That is possible with your own efforts. See, this Mars is also not only giving an exalted aspect to your second house, it is also giving an aspect to your 11th and third. So there will be some sort of effort coming in from your side. There will be some push that you will bring in to the table from your end, and that will be accompanied with the desires that you have in mind. You will have, while the virality of those desires could be low, the temptation within you could be less, but that definitely will be there, and you will try and push yourself through to achieve some of that success. Make sure that you are keeping away from certain hidden negative activities. And with 8th house, you understand what I'm trying to say. Stay away from temptations. It's going to be very important. Any kind of opportunities that present yourself in situations where you could have some not so legitimate connections, please avoid that. It's not going to be helpful. And I think naturally you will have a tendency to skip through them. If this makes sense, guys, please smash on that like button and subscribe to the Astrology and keep in touch. We will now talk about the 10th sign, Capricorn. Capricorn, for you guys, Mars is the lord of your 11th house as well as your 4th house. And your 11th lord, which is your lord of wish fulfillment and lord of your assets, is coming and sitting into your 7th house, which is where it can get a little bit tricky because it is coming in debilitation here. So your partnership with your spouse or any external partnerships could be tricky. I think if you've been planning for getting married or expanding on your marital bliss, that might not be the best time. This might not be the best period for you to conceive as well. There could be certain issues that might crop up between your spouse and your mother, and there could be unnecessary arguments coming in from that angle as well. You might find delays with respect to your wish fulfillment or the goals that you have in mind, because somewhere or the other that the challenges will walk in to you, especially if you're running your own business and you have certain expectations with respect to that. You will find that there are unforeseen problems coming in your way. And your spouse will try to help, but their help will be of not much use. So it is better that you remain focused by yourself. At the end of the day, it is giving an exalted aspect to your Lagna itself. Try and go about decision making by your own self cause, by your own self belief. Do not lean into too much of an advice from others during this period. And I'm not saying that's not a great habit, but just for you for this period, it may not be a bad idea for making your own calls. It's going to be very important for you from that perspective. Now, I would want you to continually work towards your relationship. It is possible that this exalted aspect to self might bring in too much of an self-obsession, or you are involved into activities like doing bodybuilding and gymming and stuff and pushing your boundaries and just be engrossed with yourself, getting almost into a sense of isolation during this period. So you got to avoid that particular aspect and make sure that you keep your partner, your spouse engaged throughout. The same Mars is going to be giving an aspect to your second house as well as your 10th house. From a work front perspective, I see you guys bringing a lot of aggression. From your social status perspective, you might try to push your boundaries as much as you can, but please be patient, because that is what is definitely needed during this phase, as you might get frustrated with the delays in outcomes. You might get frustrated with the delays in the growth of your wealth and what you plan or desire to achieve during this phase. So that's definitely possible. Food habits have to be definitely taken care of. You will see an impact from that perspective. Health has to be taken care of thereby. And you have to make sure that you do not create an environment at home which creates commotion, unnecessary arguments, because that could trickle down with a negative communication or negative association with your partner, with your spouse. It could just disturb the family environment in total. So you'll have to be watchful in all these areas. I think if you are spending some time in the kitchen and if you are trying to absorb yourself in making some good quality food and stuff, automatically you will see that it is going to bring in certain harmony, a balance in your work and life. And that is going to be very important for you guys to practice, because you are going to be bursting with energy. And I hope you've enjoyed this reading, Capricorn. If you have, then please smash on that like button and subscribe to Devastrology. Now we will move on to Aquarius. Aquarius, for you, Mars is sitting in this, is the lord of your 10th house and your 3rd house, and is coming and sitting in debilitation in your 6th house. I definitely expect you guys to be very careful with respect to your job front, with respect to your health. This is a period where you'll have to put in some additional effort, time, and energy to make sure that you fix things. You will see challenges, competition coming in from all corners, from all quarters. And what you will find is that sometimes there could be you be bereft of strength. You could be short of virality. You could be short of courage in general. And that is just because there is just too much that is your way. You've got to manage your health. You have to manage your daily regimen, your daily schedule, but you have to also keep a watch that you are not getting too lackadaisical in your attitude, that it impacts how competition in your workplace is impacting you. Now, this for you guys, Aquarius, this Mars will also be giving an exalted aspect to your 12th house. So some sort of rare acquisition, some sort of bigger spending is definitely anticipated for you guys. Any kind of foreign collaborations, immigration related matters seem to be sorting out for you. And I think you could at least explore some sort of travel as well during this. I see growth in spirituality, growth in religion, interest in religion coming in your way. But Mars is getting an aspect from Rahu, from the Pisces signs. It could be a religious practice from another religion as well. That could also be of interest to you. But at the end of the day, I think some sort of donation, charity, religious activities or spiritual activities may not be a bad idea. You might want to spend some time in isolation by yourself and be meditative as well. And that could just be because you might feel social from your competition or from people at work. So just be watchful on that front and not drop your guards or drop the ball when it comes to your hard work or when it comes to your karma. Because see, it's the lord of your 3rd and 10th. It has ownership of very important houses for you guys, Aquarius. Now, the same Mars is going to be giving an aspect to your 1st and your 9th house as well. So your Lagna is going to get a protective aspect. So any kind of health challenges that come, you will be able to overcome that as well. I don't see any major issue cropping in from that angle. However, from a 9th house aspect perspective, just make sure that you are making the right travel calls. Long distance travel might not be resulting into some of the greatest outcomes for you at this point in time. Again, watch is required from that angle, but at the same time, make sure that you are not getting too aggressive, or the choice of words that you have with respect to your seniors, your superiors, your fatherly figures, your father itself, your mentors or gurus is very important. Please respect your gurus during this period. It is paramount critical for you guys. I hope you've enjoyed this reading, guys. If you have, then please smash on that like button and subscribe to Devastrology. Now, for Pisces, guys, last but not the least, but very importantly, Mars is the lord of your 2nd and your 9th house. So it is a very important situation, very important transit that is coming in for you as well, because your lord of fortune is getting debilitated in the 5th house. Okay. And this becomes critical because what you could see is that suddenly you might find that the opportunities are not exactly panning out for you, or the way you would have seen that things tend to move easily for you, they could find certain blockage. But blockage doesn't mean that wish fulfillment is not going to happen. It is going to happen, but it is going to happen with a push. It is going to happen with a delay. Especially if you've been putting in efforts from the past, you will see that outcome is going to materialize now. This Mars is giving an exalted aspect to your 11th. So you will set up some large, tall order goals, targets, and objectives for yourself. You would want to achieve that for sure. But sitting in the 5th house perspective in debilitation, any kind of strategy when it comes to stock market trading and investments, I'd want you to be very careful with that. I would not recommend any kind of new investments, new strategies right now. If you've been following a certain pattern, I would want you to stick with that and continue so that your model is not disengaged. However, new strategies, new level of creativity will not bear the right fruits for you, and doesn't mean that it is going to give exalted 11th aspects outcomes. No, it's not going to happen from that perspective. You might, if you're a student audience watching this, you might face certain hurdles in terms of your college education, your studies, some way or the other, it could get impacted, and you might have certain problems coming in from that angle as well. Remember, the same Mars is going to be giving an aspect to your 8th house as well as your 12th house from its 4th and its 8th aspect. So expenses could definitely be on the rise. You might spend on something once you achieve something and find some gain. So I'd be okay. It would also mean you spending more time in terms of spirituality because the 8th and the 12th connection is coming into play for you guys. So some sort of getting into yourself, immersing yourself in your me time, into isolation, researching about it, and then finding the right outcome for you. That may be a very good strategic approach. And I do not think that's a negative thing for you to happen. But all in all, my caution to you guys would be not making any kind of new purchases, new investments at this point in time, be it related to gold, be it stock market, any kind of speculative activities. They will not pan out for you and they will not give you the outcome that you desire. But I hope, guys, this video has given you some insights. If you have liked this video, then please smash on it and subscribe to Devastrology and keep watching. Om Namah Shivaya.